Hi, my name is Hank. I want to take a moment and discuss Kratom. I've been seeing a lot of tabloids lately that have been discussing Kratom, and some saying that Kratom is good and some saying that Kratom is bad. First, let me introduce myself a little bit, or tell you a little bit more about myself, kind of give a little foundation on how it is that I come to know any part about Kratom. I spent 20 years, actually 22 years in the military. I sustained multiple injuries. I have undergone more than 40 surgeries in less than a 7-year period. And I understand there are many people out there worse off than me that are still fighting the battle. I get it. I'm still fighting the battle myself. But it is for those individuals that are looking like I was that I am doing this for. And I know just some of my veteran buddies that I've talked to, it has helped them as well. When I say it, I'm referring to Kratom. Kratom has helped countless people, millions to be honest, and I am a prime example of one of those millions. And I know of several of my veteran buddies that would agree, that have had the same return from using Kratom. For me, from the injuries I did sustain while on active duty, I developed severe chronic pain from head to toe. You can see a scar from ear to ear over here from where they had to do surgery to paste my face back together, pretty much, because all this was crushed and everything had to be put back together like a jigsaw puzzle. Now, you can't see the scars below my neck, but trust me, there are several. And from this, yes, I developed multiple sources of chronic pain. And the type of pain that I endure is bone shattering. It is, on its worst day, bad enough to keep me from getting out of bed. Now, through that, I have also endured what is known as post-traumatic stress syndrome, PTSD, which is something that people can acquire just from a simple automobile accident or any kind of random act of violence that you may encounter throughout your day. I've also suffered from severe anxiety, which is a attribute, I guess, to post-traumatic stress or PTSD. And from all of those listed above that I just discussed, I have developed or had developed severe depression to the point where I was suicidal. I honestly attempted suicide 2 different times. And I feel that I should take this opportunity and discuss Kratom because of the fact that there is so much scrutiny out there. I don't want people to miss out on an item that could potentially help them the way it has helped me. To clarify how it has helped me, how Kratom has helped me, I no longer rely on the use of synthetic drugs such as narcotics like hydrocodone or Oxycontin, Percocet, or any of those synthetic drugs. When I was going through my medical treatment through the military, one of the processes that was used to control my pain is through what is known as ketamine infusions. Ketamine is a horse tranquilizer. When it is infused into a human's body, it restructures the brain for the duration of the infusion, and the experience is unexplainable. It gives you the feeling that you don't even exist, like you know you're there, but all pain and anything that matters is absent, which is blissful during that time because you are not experiencing pain. But there are severe side effects from it. And on top of that, I was expected to take the synthetic drugs such as Dilaudid, extended release tablets, and the other type of synthetic drugs such as hydrocodone, oxycodone, and so on. At one point, I had actually found myself growing addicted to those drugs because I was exposed to it and relied on it so much to control the pain. I found myself addicted to it. Not in the sense of where I wanted to be addicted to it. I didn't enjoy taking those medications. I had to. I didn't realize I was addicted to them until I decided to stop taking them. And I decided to stop taking them because I learned that synthetic drugs such as hydrocodone and narcotics increases your depression. Like if you are experiencing depression, taking a narcotic is not good because it will increase your depression state. It will make things worse for you. So that explained why it was that I was so depressed to the point where I was suicidal. Now, when I came off of the narcotics, I went through withdrawal. I was hospitalized from it. I did not know until that moment how bad I really was. So I spent a lot of my time for the past several years trying to figure out a means to controlling pain, a means to controlling my PTSD, because I didn't like not being able to go with my family to watch a movie because of the fact that I was counting the people that was in there, looking for the nearest exit and trying to figure out how to escape and whatnot, what people do with PTSD. If you have PTSD and anxiety and stuff, you understand. But it was so bad that it affected me on a daily basis to where it was hard to even get out of bed. And when I retired, I moved to a state that had legalized Kratom. And it was the best decision of my life. I got to where I live and found out that Kratom was accessible. Didn't know anything about Kratom. So I started to inspect it or investigate it myself and learned that there are millions of people using Kratom for many different ailments. One of them that was hot for topic was the fact that it was used for people that are drug addicts or alcoholics. And during that process of learning, I learned that there are possible medicinal application purposes such as pain control and depression. It was supposed to help with depression. So I got to looking into how to actually use it or apply it, and learn that you can mix the natural powder state into a tea. And that's how many people consume it. And for me, Kratom worked immediately. I had immediate results. I found my energy increasing. My depression, I noticed that it was starting to diminish. My anxiety was not as severe. Even the pain I was experiencing was less. And I continued to use it. And I have happily used Kratom for the last 3 years to the point of where I no longer drink alcohol. I have no desires to drink alcohol. I no longer require the use of any type of synthetic drug such as hydrocodone to help control pain. I no longer use any medications to help with depression. I don't use medications to help with PTSD anymore. And the only thing that I can honestly say that I am using at this time, and plan on only using through the duration of my life, is Kratom, because it has been so successful in treating the ailments that the doctors at the VA and at the military hospitals failed to treat. And right now, Kratom is under such severe scrutiny, the FDA is trying to have it made illegal and compared to a Class 1 scheduled felony, which would make it as illegal as crack, cocaine, ecstasy, and all the other synthetic drugs that are out there. But the thing about Kratom is 100% natural. It is grown from a tree. The tree is actually considered to be a member of the green tea tree. And in its natural state, it is just a ground up powder. That's it. They take the tree leaves, they dry them out and ground them up into a powder. There is nothing added to it. It is not synthetic at all. And the FDA has continued to try to push to make Kratom illegal. Well, all I can say to that is don't believe everything you hear about how bad Kratom is, because that is a narrative produced by an organization that stands to gain billions of dollars in revenue if they succeed in making Kratom illegal. And in retrospect to that, if they succeed, if the FDA succeeds in making Kratom illegal, millions of people like myself will be the ones to have to suffer. What will I end up having to do for my PTSD, my depression, my chronic pain? For the FDA, they find it as a win-win, because my only option would be to go back to the synthetic drugs. And again, providing the FDA with that monetary support. So people, all I ask is, personally, look into Kratom, learn about it. The FDA has published 47 deaths as a result of Kratom use. The investigation itself reveals that those 47 deaths was not a result of Kratom use. It was a result of polydrug use, in which case Kratom was only at traceable amounts. Traceable amounts, meaning that Kratom may not have even been consumed within the 24 hours of the death of that victim. But on the other end of the spectrum, the drugs that was at toxic levels was drugs such as crack, cocaine, heroin, ecstasy, and even alcohol. In some cases, you had those synthetic drugs mixed with alcohol. And those were at toxic levels in the bodies of the victims. Toxic levels, meaning that those people were already using illegal and explicit drugs at toxic levels. But because they had consumed kratom at some point, it was in their body system, and the FDA jumped on the back of the bandwagon to scream out as loud as they can that it was the kratom that caused the deaths of those individuals, and it wasn't. There are multiple doctors and scientists that have disproved the claims and accusations the FDA has made against kratom. The FDA is concerned that if kratom is legalized, they will lose out not only on the millions that they've already paid to have kratom banned, but they will stand to lose billions of dollars in revenue. Some people have asked me if I think that's a conspiracy theory. No, it is an actual issue that we are facing right now, where the FDA is trying to corner the market on a product that is readily accessible to anyone over the ages of 18. So, if you're experiencing chronic pain, like, hey, I've even known of a couple of people that use kratom that have fibromyalgia, and they say that works better than the Lyrica that they have been prescribed. Imagine that. A drug sponsored by the FDA known as Lyrica no longer working as well as a all-natural substance. You see what I'm saying? So the FDA stands to lose a lot of money if kratom is legalized. But right now, for the common person, kratom is the most accessible, natural product out there that helps control many different aspects of one's life. And it's a deal maker. It changes the lives of those that use it. I mean, as a prime example, I am now fully functioning in society, whereas when I got back and off of active duty, I was physically limited and so upset and depressed and affected by PTSD, I was afraid to leave my own house. I have graduated college with honors since I started taking kratom. That means I am reassociating myself or reintegrating myself into society. And I contribute that greatly to the part of what kratom has done for me in my life. And I would hate to see such a wonderful natural element taken away from you and any other person that could benefit from it. So I don't know what else to say. I mean, as you can tell, I'm a pretty big advocate for the use of kratom. But I don't know of a single person that has used kratom that would disagree with me on what I've shared with you today. Now, you will hear cases where people say that they have heard this and that, or they've read this and that, where someone has claimed that they were addicted to kratom, or that they overdosed on kratom, and so on. Now, as far as addiction, there is not a chemical in kratom or an element in kratom that is addictive. Now, there is a chemical that acts on a similar receptor in your brain that hydrocodone or that narcotics affects, but it's the receptor that tells you, hey, I am hurting. The kratom engages on that receptor and blocks that pain, that signal from going through. So rather than feeling pain, you are getting the benefits of kratom. And the FDA claims that that is an addictive property. But yet, there is no scientific proof or empirical proof that reflects any validity whatsoever that kratom is addictive. The only thing is that people appreciate the value of what they experience by not having to feel pain when they take kratom, to the point where they want to take kratom more so that they don't have to take synthetic drugs. So the FDA says that that is the addictive property, and it is not addictive. Your body will not go through withdrawal symptoms, not like anything near what you would suffer through having to take narcotics. So there is no substantial evidence that supports any sort of addiction concern. What I have gathered, those that have claimed that have interest in the impression that was given to them by the FDA, monetarily or beneficially. It doesn't matter. That's more speculative than anything. But the proof is there. And those that have tried kratom, I've only heard promising reviews. Now, there have been people saying they have known of people overdosing on kratom. Well, that's news to me, because I've seen people take kratom in massive quantities and not overdose. But at the same time, those that did consume kratom at the amount that they have, I've seen them get sick. I've seen them throw up the kratom that they took in excess. But I have never one time seen anyone hospitalized from a kratom overdose. And remind you, I am a veteran. I've been around the VA, and I'm not saying anything bad about my brothers and sisters, but for those that have experienced PTSD and depression at the level that I have from the experiences I have had, I understand that everybody's trying to maximize the product to benefit the most. And yes, some of those individuals have taken more than their fair share of kratom, and in turn have gotten sick, but none of them have perished or been hospitalized from it. So you may ask, what is the consumable amount for a person? Well, that's depending on a lot of things. Primarily how big the person is. It's just like caffeine. If you have too much caffeine, you'll get sick from it. If you smoke too many cigarettes, you'll get sick from it. If you have too much kratom, you'll get sick from it. The best thing I could recommend for someone looking to try or experiment with kratom is start off small, and you'll see that if you can use a little bit, you'll probably benefit the most. Because if you use too much, your body's just not going to react the same as what it would if you use just a little bit. So don't go off and start shoveling it in. But start off slow. What I would recommend, what I do, is I take 1 teaspoon of kratom powder and I mix it in a large Yeti cup with natural lemonade that does not have sugar, because the acid in the lemonade activates the elements within Kratom to maximize the effect, so you can get the most out of what you're trying to get to help with the pain. And start off there. But if you do decide to experiment with Kratom, I will honestly tell you that with anything that you take and put in your body, the more you put in, the harder your body has to work, and the more likely your body will become immune to the product. So if you use too much, you can find yourself not receiving the benefits of Kratom. That is the biggest concern I have for people that have never tried it. So start off small and work your way up. Just get yourself to a comfortable setting. Kratom should not be used to try to get high or to get the next level high. It should be used moderately, as one would need it to control pain and such. Remember, they do have medicinal qualities, okay? And when I say they, I mean the different strands of Kratom. And if you're this interested and have watched this video this far, I recommend learning more about the different strands of Kratom. Right now there are 3, and there are only 3. You'll see many others, but you have red, white, and green. Now you'll see silver, you'll hear the 7-Eleven or 7 in Heaven, the different names. Now all that is someone has taken the time to take red, green, and white and mix them together, or mix green and white or red and green, but it's the same thing, just mixed up in different portions and given a different name. I just practice in using red, green, and white, and I mix it myself. So I guess that's about all I can add at this point. Good luck in your endeavors in life. I hope you find that Kratom is as beneficial to you or those that you love or recommend this to. And good luck. Peace.